Hey everyone, and welcome back to Marvel Champions Experience. Remember, I'd always appreciate if you consider liking this video. If you truly like this content, please think about subscribing. And last but not least, please drop a message down in the comments below, especially on a day like today where I'm sure going to get torched in the comments for how terrible my list is. But that's the secret to any list, everyone, right? No one's list is good. But yeah, I would always appreciate a like, a subscribe, and a comment if you are so inclined. All right. So I've been asked for this list for a little bit, and I said I had some time when I was over winter break, and here we are during winter break. For those of you who are new, I am a teacher, so I have some time off now, and I can make a video that you are sure all to hate, or at least have opinions on. So I have decided to finally update my heroes tier ranking list, and this is really hard actually. So I took a little note somewhere that I always need to preface this list with. Hang on one second. I have actually a bunch of notes ready. Okay, so before I go into this list, so I'm actually going to do this list kind of quick because, I looked at my last one. It was actually pretty long, so I'm trying to trim the fat and just like hit the content quick, hit it hard. There's lots of heroes, so if I spend a minute on each hero, we're talking about an hour-long video. So I've got some bullet points. I'm gonna try to actually get through 50 something heroes in 30 minutes, maybe, which is like 30 seconds per hero. But that's kind of what I think people want. You want the fat trimmed, and you just want the answers. So a couple things about this. First, this list is based on true solo only. I play with my buddies, but I play 95% of this game true solo. So please know that this list is done for true solo. Please know that this is my experience, right? This game is so random. You can never play two games at the same that are the same. So, the experience that I have can be completely different than, yours, and we'll be using the same heroes, the same deck, just the luck of the draw. It's like infinite combinations of the draw, right? So know that my list isn't like the end all be all. No one's list is the end all be all because it's just really difficult, right? So my suggestion is to, I wouldn't say take my list with a grain of salt, but take it as one small piece of a bigger picture. Go check out other content creators, right? Please check them out. They're making great stuff all the time. So just use my list as a small piece of a bigger puzzle to help you fit it all together. If you play multi-hand, if you play with friends a lot, this list is not really going to be good at all. It's going to be a terrible list. But if you play true solo a lot, this is going to be a great list for you, I think. Again, combine it with other people who are making content as well. Let's see. So again, making a list like this, there's so many variables. I've decided to try to focus on each hero and what their gimmick is, right? And just their core 15 cards and just what they have going for them. Because when you start adding aspects, you can't do anything, right? So even though I've played this game basically I beat all the villains on expert, I've essentially retired from expert mode just because time and, I just want to have fun again. So just know that these are all with the thoughts of playing against villains in standard mode. Let's see. Yeah, that's kind of it. So I am going to pull up my notes right now. Okay, so we're going to start at the bottom with the D tier heroes. And I would just like to say, please, please be kind. Heroes have to be on the bottom. Like, that's just a fact, right? Like, you can't just no matter where we start the list, is going to be a bottom. So some of people's favorite heroes are going to be here and some aren't. So, all right, let's see. We're going to start with the D tier, and we're going to start, okay, my buddy Matt, I know he watches. He's a great player. We're putting his girl She-Hulk down here in the D tier, right? So she has strong attacks, but she has limited thwarting options. She needs to frequently switch to alter ego, and she can just leave the villain exposed for schemes, right? She has a small hand size in hero form for the most part, and she really struggles to handle threat efficiently. Okay, so again, we're going to go through these kind of quick because I don't want to waste all your time. So, all right, another hero that I have in the D tier is the cousin, right? They're cousins, I think, right? The regular Hulk, Bruce Banner. Okay, so he's got a tremendous amount of attack, but does not really lack and really lacks a lot of thwarting and controlling in the game. Again, his hero form is really limited with 4 cards, so it just kind of shrinks the strategy that in playing, and he is often reliant on perfect draws, which can lead to a lot of inconsistency with playing him. I feel like this is the Matt special. We have next another favorite on his list. Where is he? I know he's here. Let's see. There he is. Thor. Thor. I know my buddy has already turned this video off right now. But Thor. So again, this is true solo only, right? So Thor really excels when there's lots of minions on the table. But when there's lots of minions on the table, it's really hard to handle by yourself. He's fantastic. I'd even say he's B plus A tier caliber in multi-hand, but as a solo player, when minions aren't there, he really struggles. Okay, and for him to have to pull minions, it's just diverting his attention from other places. He lacks a lot of good tools for mitigating threat, and he has a lot of inconsistent games because depending on the encounter, right? If a villain doesn't have a lot of minions, he's really going to struggle. If a villain has a lot of minions, he's going to do a little bit better. So he struggles again with consistency. Another one that I have here that I've seen people do well with, but again, inconsistency is Star-Lord. This is a hero that I've always wanted to do well with, but man, his gambling mechanic always does me in pretty bad. So he's got a lot of high risk mechanics that often bring self-inflicted wounds to himself, right? Because you are pulling more encounter cards because of it, and it's with more than your villains, you don't want encounter cards. The encounter cards are really they make you pay for him. Okay, he does well with a team, but again, as true solo, he struggles. Okay, he struggles to mitigate his risks, making it really hard to play with him as a solo hero. And again, he does, like, when you get those perfect draws with him, you can finish a game in like 2 hands possibly, but it's just getting those hands to come out. So I have always tried to do well with him, but I struggle. All right, another person that I have here in the D tier where is she? She's so small to see, but there she is. Wasp. So one of the main reasons I have her down here is because we have a better version of Wasp, and his name is Ant-Man. Basically, Ant-Man does everything she does, but better. So there's really no point of using her, I think. I'm sorry. So she also has a form switching mechanic, but it's also not as good as Ant-Man, right? She struggles to steal consistent damage. She struggles to thwart effectively, and she relies on very specific cards to do well. So if she doesn't pull those cards, again, you notice the pattern here with this D tier. If she doesn't pull those cards in the right order, she's not going to do well in games. Another person that I have down here is Hawkeye. So he uses a lot of different arrows that can do really well, but if there's not a lot of like thwart that you need to pull, like basically arrows are very they're dependent on what's going on, and it could be a dead draw. It could be a dead draw, right? So he needs a lot of time to get his equipment right. He needs his bow, he needs his quiver, which can really make the game go a little longer. And again, with the newer villains, the longer the game goes, it depends on who you're playing. It could be really detrimental to you. And he has low health, so you need to like really play around that. You need to like be a little bit defensive, and he struggles a lot. So, and I have one more person in here that I'm going to put, but I want you to notice a lot of these heroes that I have here in this D tier, right? They're pretty much wave 1 and 2 for the most part, right? So we have, with Star-Lord being wave 3, and then when I talk about waves, I'm talking about expansion packs. So She-Hulk, right? She was in the core set. Hawkeye is Rise of the Red Skull. I do believe that Hulk and Thor and Wasp came out in between Rise of the Red Skull, between the core and Guardians. So these are all really early heroes. The one late edition I have, and we'll round this out with the Matt special, is Valkyrie. So, I mentioned him as a lot. My buddy Matt Jenkins Comedy, I believe is his YouTube channel. He's very funny. Go check him out. He's actually really, really, really funny. So, I have Valkyrie here because she's very similar to Thor, where she needs minions to do well. Okay, she's really minion focused, and in minion light scenarios, she just really, really struggles. Okay, she needs her death glow to set up for impactful turns, which can really slow her down. And what she does really well is attack. And again, in true solo, if you can't thwart well, you're gonna struggle. So there we go. That rounds out my D tier list for these heroes. And aside from Valkyrie, a lot of them are early heroes. So, which shows you that over the time, the game has gotten a little bit better in thinking about how to make heroes just stronger. All right, and what did I label this D tier as? I labeled the D tier as underpowered, and they require significant support and optimization. All right, that's not to say these heroes, like, you can't win with them, right? You can absolutely win with them and have fun with them. Like, this game is all about having fun. If your favorite hero is Star-Lord, go nuts, dude. Like go crazy, have fun. But if you're looking to min-max, that's why I have these at the bottom. All right, this next tier I have as the C tier. I put this as situational, and they're really good in specific scenarios, but a little bit more limited outside of them. So this one hurts, but he had to go somewhere. And he's definitely not D tier, but it's Black Panther. So I've seen with my play group, I've seen Black Panther be used really, really well. I wouldn't say A tier well, and I wouldn't even feel bad about putting him in the B tier. But I'm going to leave him C tier for now. And the main reason is because he really, really needs those upgrades to do well. He relies on Wakanda Forever. And if you can't pull them enough, he's just going to fall behind, right? Again, like I said, I've seen my playgroup do well with him, but that's like he does very, very good in multiplayer games when other people can like fill a little bit of a role while he builds up. But when he's playing true solo, if he's not getting those cards, he's going to really struggle without them. Another person that I've kind of dropped a little bit just because other heroes have come out that have just been a bit better than her is Miss Marvel. So I had her really high previously. I think I had her in the B or the A tier, but just as the game's gotten older, there's just people who do what she does a bit better, I think, right? So she has a lot of reoccurring mechanics that she can pull and just happen again over and over, but she requires a good amount of setup, and she really needs her allies in order to do them effectively. Okay. She has like look at her base stats. They're 1-1-1. So they're pretty weak. And in solo play, that like the newer mechanics have like that stat line is really hard to keep up with the newer villains. And again, she works really well in team-based games, but as a true solo player, she's kind of she's kind of been a victim of the power creep in this game, right? Another one for the similar reasons is Tony Stark, Iron Man. So, man, Iron Man, when this dude gets going, when he gets his suit, it's over. You're going to win. When he gets his suit, right? So he's extremely, extremely powerful in the late game. But because of that, in the early game, he struggles a lot. And he needs a significant amount of setup. And again, true solo, especially with the newer villains, and you're going to hear me say that a lot, he just falls behind. He really, really just falls behind. Okay? His tech upgrades are really important, and he requires a lot of consistent draws, which isn't always possible to happen. And especially in the beginning, without his upgrades, he has a small hand size, and it just really, really slows him down during important parts of the game. And let's see. So I'm just going to throw one more in here just to kind of prove a point. Another person that I have here in the C tier is, where is he? Rocket. Rocket is another hero that I've struggled to get like going pretty effectively, right? He needs his guns to do well. He requires a lot of tech. He requires a lot of draws, and if you don't get it going, he's not going to do good. So what are my notes about Rocket? So he's got a really high damage potential, and is another hero that does really, really well with just dealing with minions. But again, when those minions aren't there, he's going to fall behind. So he can do a lot of burst damage really quick, really hard, really fast. As I said, he does really well with tech items, and his tech items and like just make him better, right? Again, it requires a bunch of setup and drawing those specific cards, but he's another one with low health, and you got to be a little careful with him before being overwhelmed. So. But this kind of just proves my point of a power creep in this game. What do I have here? 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11, I believe there are 51 heroes of the game. 11 out of the 51 heroes that I have right here. Actually, let me remove Valkyrie for the most part. So that's 10. 10 of the 51 heroes here right now, right, are from Guardians, Galaxy's Most Wanted. So very, very early people, okay? That just shows the power creep of the game and how better certain heroes have gotten. All right, so let us move on to a little newer hero. A hero that I was really looking forward to, Rogue. I have her in the C tier. And another one that I couldn't get to just handle well in true solo. Don't get me wrong, in multiplayer games, she is phenomenal. I'd say she's A tier in multiplayer games, two-handed. But as a true solo player, one of her main abilities just goes away for the most part because she doesn't have another person to use her touched ability. I think it's called touched. So again, she can gain traits and abilities from other people, which makes her really flexible. But when you remove always having a partner to play with, that's, I believe it's like 1/3 of those abilities are just taken away at all times. Again, her effectiveness is based on the traits that she's able to absorb. And if they're not on the board, right? If there's no minion, the villain's always there. But if you don't have a minion or an ally, she just misses out on specific traits that make her really, really strong. Okay. Which again lead to inconsistency. And that's a theme with these lower heroes. They're a bit inconsistent. And, she there's nothing that she does great. She does things good overall. But when you're lacking certain things because you're only playing solo, that's why she falls a little bit below average. Another person that I wanted desperately, I was so hyped for this person, but again, he just dropped a bit for me, was Gambit. So Gambit does really well with his charge counters, right? When he builds up those charge counters, he can do insane damage, but again, needs to build them up. And it can take some time for him to build them up, which kind of slows the game down. And just, again, the longer it goes, you can get overwhelmed depending on how the game is going with minions and threat on the schemes, right? So he's good at both thwarting and attacking. He's good, but he's not exceptional either. He's got some cards, like I think it's Charged a Card, I believe it is, where he can do crazy damage, but I think he's only got like 2 of those, possibly 3 in the deck. And you'd have to have all those charge counters built up. So if you don't have any charge counters built up or only have 1, the card is it's not dead. You can still use it, but it's just significantly weaker. And he requires significant planning to play with him true solo. But if you're going to use him multiplayer, you can use him as DPS. Another person that I desperately wanted to do really well in true solo, but just again wasn't what I wanted her to be, was Jean Grey. And to me, as a true solo player, one of the most important things to consider and think about and always is basically mitigating damage and mitigating just putting yourself in a bad situation, right? I believe the way that I play true solo is just like, I don't like to run through my deck to get an extra encounter card. I don't like the villain to run through their deck, so an extra there's an acceleration token, right? I try to control the game take as little penalties as possible. And Jean Grey is just one big freaking penalty from start to finish, because you need to manage all of her abilities and counters, because you do not want to trigger Dark Phoenix. If you pull a minion, if you pull your Nemesis, especially with the new Standard 3, if you pull Dark Phoenix, I'm not saying the game is over, but like you have significantly reduced your odds at winning this game, whatever game you're playing, because Dark Phoenix is that freaking strong. So her powers are really, really strong, but she's super high risk, super high reward, right? It's better than Star-Lord, which is why she's higher than him, but a lot of risk, a lot of reward when she's unleashed. Again, you got to manage her counters, you got to flip her a lot so you don't trigger Dark Phoenix. And another good character in multiplayer, but in solo, she's kind of scary. All right, another character that I have fairly low. Again, I thought he was going to be way better than what he turned out to be, at least for me, is... Did I really... Oh, here we go. Oh, my God. All right, Colossus. All right, so... He's got some good abilities, right? Like he starts with a tough status card, which gives him protection right off the back. Okay. He's got abilities to gain more tough status cards, which is great. Love it, right? You know, want that. He's got a strong defense, right? It allows a lot of like mitigation for damage, especially combined with the toughs, right? But he does have limited thwarting. So when you are playing, villains that have that like rush you down, or you have to deal with threat a lot, he struggles. And I did name this tier, right? Situational, and they're good in certain situations. I like in I don't know, Collector Escape the Museum, right, where you have to take all the threat off. Like I can see him really struggling. I've never tried him in that one, but like off the top of my head, I can see him really struggling in that one. And something that I've always struggled with him is just dealing a lot of damage. Like sure, he can't die. Like it's really hard to kill him. He gets lots of tough, right? But he also struggles dealing damage. So he's good. He's fun. Situational though. Another character that I really liked a lot, but just did not want me to keep coming back to her, is Shadowcat. So she has this really cool phasing mechanic where she can switch between phase and solid forms, right? And it gives her a lot of flexibility. She can avoid damage. She can avoid engaging with enemies. However, there are certain cards to like force the trigger, I believe it is, right? So you have to be very aware of which form you're in and when you're going to flip, like when she's going to swap her forms and everything. So, you gotta be one step ahead when using her. Okay. Her intangible form is really good, right? It can ignore certain game effects and offer like really good advantages. But another thing that she struggled with is her damage. It's fine. It's not great, right? It's okay, but it's nothing compared to the B, A, and S tier heroes. So she's fun. She's really, really fun, but she just didn't pull out enough damage for me to feel comfortable putting her anything in higher than this tier. Another character that I have in this C tier is C for Cyclope. That's an old WCW wrestler, for those of you who are old like me and like wrestling. All right, Cyclops. Cyclops, another one of these heroes. If we're talking multiplayer, if we're talking multi-hand, this is an A, debatably S tier hero. However, since we're playing true solo, one of his main abilities is he has a card that always allows him to go first, right? Which he can put upgrades on the villains and minions, and it just loses its oomph when you're only playing by yourself. You're always going first, right? So, he does extremely well in team settings when he like make an ally deck with him, gets lots of allies, playing with friends. However, when you're playing solo, that team up ability is just very, very, very lackluster. Okay. He can handle lots of different roles really, really well, right? Like thwarting, like attacking. And it leads to him doing well across the board, right? Like his strengths is supporting other people and making other people a little bit better. he's a leader, right? Cyclops, but doing it in true solo again brings it down for him a bit. And again, he requires specific setup. He needs certain upgrades and certain allies to do his best. When you're playing true solo, it can be inconsistent, right? If those upgrades are on the bottom of the deck, if those allies are at the bottom of the deck, you're not getting it out of him. Excuse me. I think I had RSV. I think that's what I was sick with. Because I still have this lingering cough. It's been like a week since I played that game last week. Another one that I have here. This one kind of hurts to put her here. So, let me skip her for a second. I want to think about this one more time. So another person I'm definitely going to put here is Adam Warlock. That is Adam Warlock, right? So, man, Adam Warlock, he's a tough one to actually place in a tier list. And if you don't have if you have Adam Warlock, you know why. If you don't have Adam Warlock, it's because his thing is when you make a deck with him, he has to use an equal amount of aspects from across the entire game, right? So it's like 3 leadership, protection, whatever. It's got to use an equal amount of cards from each of the aspects, which makes deck building with him extremely difficult. I did remember like seeing one deck for him that was really, really good, but like if it's like only a 1 deck character, you know, like what are we doing here? I'm not saying he is a 1 deck character. I'm sure there are decks that are phenomenal with him, but deck building with him, that is like on another level that I don't want to deal with, which makes it hard to use him, right? So, but on a positive, he can use things from all aspects, which is like gives him a lot of strategic options, but it's also really difficult. Okay, he's got good healing, he's got good recovery. Like his soul world, like lets like the battles go on, like just keeps him going, right? And he does reward like good planning and good decision making, but I think it's just a little bit too much. So, and the last person that I have here that I was really hyped for, I like drove out of my way to get her when she came out last summer, is Jubilee. So another character that's really good in multiplayer, right? She offers a lot of good team buffs. She has like a lot of good attacks, and she does really, really well in multiplayer settings. But I was not able to get her rolling in a true solo game. She has pretty weak stats, like base stats, 1, 1, and a 2. Okay, it makes her difficult to play around with in true solo, and she lacks consistent damage for the most part. Like she's good with thwarting, she's good with confusing, but like she really lacks the damage that a true solo player needs to be effective. All right, so I did say I had one more hero to put here in this C tier, and I'm gonna hold for 1 second. I'm gonna go through my B tier. The person I'm talking about is definitely not A tier, I don't think. So let's put the B tier heroes and then see how I feel about her. All right, in this B tier, I think I got my notes are going all over the place. Okay, so I've labeled this tier competent. They are effective with some limitations. All right, the first person we're going to start with is Groot, right? Although I think Groot could go in the C tier. Let's hold on Groot for a second. I don't know if I love him here yet. We're going to come back to Groot. All right, but the person I definitely have here is... Where is he? Nova, the most mid man in this game, in my opinion. So I believe Nova was actually the first video I ever made. You know, he's got like some good abilities. He's able to generate wild resources, which makes him cool. It's like he's a very flexible hero to use. He's good with burst damage, right? And he's a little weak though. He's got low health. Makes him very vulnerable when he's getting attacked by multiple sources. But overall, he's pretty good. He's not the worst. I think he's mid. I think he's a super solid B tier hero. Like he doesn't do anything fantastic. He's fine. He's good. Another hero that I have here is in this B tier is Quicksilver. And the one reason why I have a Quicksilver in this B tier is because there is a hero that does what he does better. And I'll just let you know who that is. It's Spider-Gwen, right? If Spider-Gwen weren't in this game, Quicksilver would be higher because they basically sort of had the same ability. But anywho, so Quicksilver, I really like him. He can ready himself multiple times per turn. It allows for him to like attack if multiple times if you need to, thwart multiple times if you need to. He scales really, really well with upgrades, right? The longer the game goes, the better he gets, which is the opposite of the other heroes that I have lower than him, right? Because they don't have things that make them better for them, a lot of them. But the longer the game goes for Quicksilver, the better he gets overall. Okay, and he does well with every single task, right? If you need to thwart, he can thwart. If you need to attack, he can attack. He can defend and then ready himself. He's a fantastic, phenomenal hero. And the only reason I don't have him higher is because somebody that does what he does better. Who else do I have here? I have Penny Parker, Spider. I really like Spider a lot. She's just so reliant on her upgrades. It's the only reason why I have her at B and not A anymore. So she's really versatile, right? She has a lot of really cool tech upgrade cards, and she can adapt to like different situations. You know, she's really flexible. If she needs to be defensive, she can be defensive, offensive, thwart. Like similar to Quicksilver, she does all of the roles effectively, right? She generates resources through her upgrades, which really help offset her small hand size. What else do I have here? She works well. I know I'm not thinking about aspects, but she does work well with lots of different aspects, which kind of is what you want as a solo hero, right? She fits every single role really well. She does everything really well. And when you're playing true solo, that's what you need in a hero. Okay. Another person that I have here for similar reasons is Ironheart. I think I had Ironheart at an A last time, but again, the game has evolved, and with certain villains, she takes a little longer to get going than other heroes. So she becomes extremely powerful as the game goes on, right? If you can get her to form 3 quickly, she's gonna win the game. Okay, which is the opposite of where is he? Iron Man. Where the heck is Iron Man? Why don't I see him? I thought I put him here somewhere. Am I blind? Oh, he's right here. Yeah. So she is basically a better version of Iron Man. She just does what he does quicker. What else do I have down for her? Let's see. Again, in the beginning of the game, she starts off a little bit weak. It takes her some time to get going, but even her weak stage 1 is better than Iron Man's starting hand or starting form of the game. And she has a super high ceiling, right? And if she could just basically, so she's got 3 forms. If she started in form 2 and only had 2 and 3, she'd be A tier. But since she has to go through 1, 2, and then 3, that's why she's a little lower. Another person that I have here that I don't have much to say about because I've only used him a couple times. Oh man, I should have said this in the beginning of the video. A lot of this is as objective as possible. It's my personal opinions, but I've also done some research on what other people have been saying. So I had to look for what other people are saying for this hero because I didn't really use Vision a lot. But from the limited time I played with him and from what I've the research I've done from him, I have him at a B. Okay. He's also just a hero I personally don't like. I find him boring. So, excuse me. Similarly to Spectrum, he switches between solid form and intangible forms. Not Spectrum. Well, Spectrum switches forms as well, but Shadowcat. He switches between solid and intangible forms, which allow him to be really flexible, right? He does need some solid planning to maximize his form switches. And, unlike the heroes below him, like I said further before, he can manage multiple situations really well, right? So if you need him to not take damage and flip and form, you can do that. So he is a solid true solo player because of that ability. Next person I have here. Oh man, this is taking longer than I thought it was, guys. All right, I'm gonna try to go a little quicker. All right, next person I have here is Wolverine. Wolverine. All right, so Wolverine is in the B tier. He has a strong healing factor, right? It allows him to take damage and just come back stronger. You don't need to flip as much with him because you can keep healing. He's got a super high damage output, right? Basically, the deal with Wolverine is like if you want to finish the game before they can finish you, and he can easily do that. He deals a significant amount of damage through all of his abilities, and but one reason why he's a little bit low is because of his thwarting, right? So if you get held up a little bit with something like stunned, and then the threat builds up, and you have to pull your attention away from the attacks, and he has to thwart, right? It pulls him down a little bit. Still a solid B hero, but if his thwarting were a little bit better, he'd be higher. Another person I have in this B tier is Angel. All right, so he's got a very, very cool flying hero, right? Aerial hero. He does really well with the aerial cards. So there's a lot of aerial cards in the game now. It makes him very, very flexible. Okay. He heals really well. Which means that he can, if the fight goes long, he can deal with it because of his good healing. And again, a reason why I have him a little bit lower is because he does well as a team-based player, but he's got multiple forms, right? He's got two different forms. He's got two different forms. Three different forms? He's got two different forms. So he can be, again, flexible, manage the situation when he needs to, and flip to his Archangel form and deal damage. Actually, no, I think that's the thwarting one. I don't remember. I haven't played him a bit. But I do remember, and again, what I've read is that, because I haven't used them a lot, is that, flexible hero, able to handle multiple situations. Another hero that I have down here, I keep saying that. I really hate that I keep saying another hero. Next on the list is Iceman. So I do think he has the potential to go to A, but he's so new. I have limited experience with him, but I did like what I've seen so far. Okay. I really like his Frostbite's abilities, right? He's got really good crowd control. He's able to freeze enemies. He's able to reduce threats. He's able to just control the situation really, really well. He's got good defensive abilities. He can protect himself. He can protect allies. He can pull out. He can protect people with his allies that he pulls out. Right, the ice little snowmen. I forgot what they're called. However, he does require some specific setups to do really well, like pulling those cards. But I do think this is he is potentially an A tier hero, but I need a little bit more time with him. So I used her name before, and the person that we're going to throw here next is Spectrum, wherever she may be. There she is. And, I mentioned Spectrum and Vision. They're very similar to me for the most part, right? I really don't like either of them. They're just kind of boring. So that's just for me. So similar to Vision, she can form switch. She's one of the first heroes that had this form switching ability, right? And each has different abilities, which help her as a true solo player, allowing her to adapt to certain situations. She's a super balanced hero, right? She can deal a significant amount of damage. She can deal a significant amount of thwarting, all while maintaining good resources and able to do all of that. Okay, she does well in any aspect, so it makes her a super solid option to just deal with almost any villain in this game. But again, nothing fantastic. And the last hero I have in this B tier is Deadpool. It's really hard for me to put Deadpool in the A tier just because of how unpredictable he is. Okay, that's it. When you're talking about playing true solo, you want consistency, you want to know what's happening, and he just does not allow for it. Okay, his mechanics, his randomness leads to significant highs and significant lows. Okay, his self-healing is really good though. It allows the fight to go on for a very long time. But and he's got a really, really cool play style that I like a lot. Like his pool aspect cards are just really fun to play, but it's that unpredictability that just makes it a little bit hard to have him anything higher than just a mid-tier hero. All right, I have two people that I was coming back to, and I think I did make a swap at the last second. And I am not going to put Groot in this B tier. I am going to put him in the C tier. Okay, so I haven't used him in a while, but I do remember using him a lot. Okay, and even though his growth counters can make him extremely strong, he really relies on them a lot, which is what made it hard for me to keep him up in that B tier. You know, he needs the growth counters to do well. And he rewards patience. He rewards resource management, but sometimes the game just does not allow you to do that. Okay, he's really, really good at tanking. He's really good at taking attacks, taking hits, while supporting the rest of his team. So in true solo, it actually is a little bit harder to use him, right? If what he does best is take damage. Okay, he has a limited offense. He needs a lot of his counters to do the damage well, right? So he can deal out 10 damage at once. Actually, I think it's 13 possibly, by having the 10 growth counters. But that's, you need the 10th growth counters, and then you need that card. So I actually do feel a bit okay dropping him down to C. And on the opposite end of that, the person who I was going to put in the C tier, where is she? Here she is. And I'm actually putting her in the B tier, is Nebula. Nebula is a hard hero to use, which is why I originally had her in the C tier. But that doesn't mean she's a bad hero to use, okay? So her technique upgrades, they make her extremely flexible. It just means you have to think of like one turn ahead, right? Her technique upgrades aren't triggered for the most part on the same turn, but the following turn. But if you can think ahead, she really, really rewards you, okay? She's really effective depending on the sequence of the cards that are played. But again, that means you are rewarded for playing better. Okay. She is a bit inconsistent because of it, which makes her a little bit weaker in solo. But again, as I've said, if you can plan that out in advance, like if you're looking at your cards and mulliganing well and discarding well, you know, she's very, very effective. So I do think she actually deserves to be in the B tier. All right, we are now moving on to the A tier of heroes. All right, I have these as strong, highly effective with minor limitations. The first person I have here is Spider-Man Miles Morales. Unbelievably strong hero. Now we're going to go a little bit faster because I want to end this for you guys. I don't want to be bored. He works well with status effects, right? So he has lots of stuns. He can confuse a lot. He can control the villain's board really effectively. Okay, he has high burst damage. It allows him to remove minions quickly. It allows him to like flip the villain quickly if he needs to, and he also thwarts really well. Okay, he has a lot of good defensive options and makes him a super, super solid hero for just mitigating damage. The next person I have here is Wanda, the Scarlet Witch. Okay, so her chaos control ability, she can use the villain's encounter deck to disrupt their plans really, really well, right? Just running through and burning through that deck, which means you're getting like cards out that you don't want to have to deal with. Her hex bolt is insane. It does an insane amount of damage, especially with the newer villains who have a lot of the counters on them, right on those cards. And unlike heroes like Deadpool and who's the risk reward heroes, right? Her risk reward is actually extremely balanced. Even though there is some unpredictability, you can control a lot of it with, I believe it's her helmet, or just her regular ability. You can control a lot of what you're doing with her. Another A tier hero that I have here, as I said before, why use Wasp when you can use the Ant-Man? Okay, so his tiny and giant forms give you a lot of flexibility. They're really, really strong. He can do it multiple times per game, right? He's got really, really good resource efficiency. His cards that are good either don't cost a lot, right? Or you have resource generating cards that lets him play them out really well. And he's just super self-sufficient. He does not rely on specific aspects for the most part. He doesn't need a team to have him do well. He can just do everything super fast, super quick, and just amazing all over the board. Next we have here is Peter Parker, the other Spider-Man, who has only gotten better as his game has gone along. He is one of the better defensive heroes, right? So he has a really, really high defense, and his ability, the Spider Sense, when he's attacked, he can draw cards, which is just fantastic. Like, you always want to be drawing cards. He's got great resource generation. You know, if you can flip to Peter Parker, that's just a free resource generation right there, which is fantastic. And he's just super consistent. He does everything really well. He can stun the villain. You know, he can take no damage with his backflips. He just does everything awesome, and he's kind of everything you want for a true solo player. Next, we have Black Widow. This is another character that rewards just strategic planning and thinking ahead. But when you do, the longer this is another hero, the longer the game goes, the better she becomes. Right? Her preparation cards, her preemptive effects allow like super control over the enemy's action. Like the stun gun, I believe it's called. Minion comes out and they're basically dead. Right? So she's basically dealing with things before they actually happen. She's super versatile. She does well with offensive and defensive roles, both exclusively, right, at the same time. And, you know, when you pair her with Spy and Shield cards, she's just a menace. She's an absolute menace. Again, the longer the game goes on, even with the newer villains, it's more in her favor. Next, we have, honestly, the better version of Wolverine, X-23. So, X-23, similar to Wolverine, has an insane damage output. She just does damage like it's going out of style, right? Her healing factor is a bit better than Wolverine's, I believe, in my opinion. She regenerates her health really effectively, which allows the games to just continue without her having to flip if she doesn't need to. She has a super aggressive play style, right? And Honey Badger, when she gets Honey Badger, game over. You know, what's one of the new cards? I forgot that it came out. I think it came with a Jubilee pack. The Ally card, Sidekick. If you can keep Honey Badger in this game, it's over. So, yeah, to me, she's just a better version of Wolverine. And a character next, I'm like really happy to have this character in the A tier. I believe I had him in the C tier at one point. Is Drax. Oh my God, has Drax gotten better as this game has come out? This was not a good character for a very, very long time, but he has got significantly better. His vengeance counters, he gets stronger the more damage he takes, right? Which again rewards high risk, high reward, but he can control it, right? Because he's got good defense. His offense just becomes insane over time, but you just have to manage it a bit well. Right, this is another one of those characters. I believe Mantis is his ally. You keep her in the game. Drax is not going down because she can just consistently heal him. He does struggle with threat, but he is one of those heroes that it doesn't really matter. Like you can kind of. There are not many scenarios in this game that require you to deal with the threat. I mean, I'm thinking like Magneto. I believe one of those Apocalypse fights you need to like actually get through the main scheme. But any fight that's just a fight, Drax does not need to worry about the main scheme. He can just destroy and maul the villain. All right. I don't know why I had this person as an A tier. It's actually an S tier hero, so I'm gonna put him later. One of the newer heroes to come out that I have as. Wait a minute, I missed somebody. Hold on. I forgot to put somebody in the B tier. I'm sorry. I'm looking down right here. It's War Machine. War Machine is definitely a B tier hero. So we're jumping down a bit. So War Machine is really strong. I think he's a little bit underrated. Actually, I think he's a lot of bit underrated, right? He has his ammo counters, which are insane for attacks. Can give him a lot of damage, both to multiple minions, just really strong attacks by himself. He does require you to managing the ammo to remain effective, right? He does have weak thwarting, but when you get one of his abilities that allows him to flip and continue to gain tough status, he's super solid, right? He's a super solid mid B tier hero. Now we're coming back up. I'm sorry for that. I apologize. One of the newer heroes, Nightcrawler, I think is a solid A hero. I did not like him at first. I had a bad deck with him, but now that I understand his playstyle and what he actually wants, right? His teleportation ability is stupid. It's stupid. His Bamf is ridiculous, allowing him to just defend without having to flip himself, not flip, exhaust himself is crazy, right? He is super well at just avoiding all attacks. He is super well at thwarting. He's extremely versatile in all of the roles that he does, and I am really impressed with Nightcrawler. And I think it's one of those heroes. Since he just came out, the longer this game goes out, he has the potential to become an S tier hero sooner than later. All right, I definitely missed another hero here. Hold on, Psylocke is not an S tier hero. Where do I have Psylocke? I'm looking at my list. Hold on a second. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Sorry. I'm looking at my S tier heroes. There's no way that Psylocke is there. Do I have Psylocke as an A tier hero? I do not. Wow, that should say a lot. That Psylocke is so forgettable that I don't have her on my list. All right, well, let's place her. Guys, if I'm being honest, I don't remember anything about Psylocke. Nothing. Like, she like came and went. I'm sorry if you like Psylocke, but like she did not really do it for me. So for that, I can't really I don't feel good ranking her. Like if I have to like just go based on the like one, maybe two games that I played with her, like she's not, if I'm going based on what I know, right? The very, very limited, I didn't even have a chance to research her. I think that she's probably a B hero, right? Like I remember her confusing a lot really well. I remember her managing thwart really well. I remember liking her. I don't remember being blown away by her. I just remember like winning the fight effectively and being like, oh man, that wasn't that difficult. But you know, she is I remember her calling her like the confused queen or something like that. But I do remember that I enjoy, like, she just managed the board really well, but she's kind of forgettable. Unfortunately. All right. That being said, we are going to our S tier heroes. You can see them all down there, so you kind of know who they are. Oh, I also forgot somebody else. Gamora is not an S tier hero, but Gamora is an A tier hero. Yeah, that looks right. Gamora, definitely an A tier hero. I didn't also have her on my list, but I don't need notes for her. I know her really well. Gamora is like she is like the perfect person to talk about somebody who does everything really well. Her event abilities, right? Basically, when she attacks, she also thwarts at the same time. When she thwarts, she also attacks at the same time. When she defends, I believe she also has an attack card. She does literally everything extremely well. You know, she is not the jack of all trades because, like, you know, the jack of all trades is like do lots of everything, but nothing great. She like is above that. She does a lot of everything and almost great, right? She's just a little boring. She's not too flashy. She's not overly powerful in one area, but I do believe she's a hero that can easily win basically against any villain in this game because she can use two different aspects, right? She has a game plan for everything. Amazing hero. Yep, and here we are. Now I feel good about this. These are our S tier heroes in Marvel Champions. Let's start with a boring one, Doctor Strange. Basically, it's S for Strange tier, right? This guy is just broken. He's broken in all ways possible. His invocation deck is the reason why he's S tier. You can just, for the most part, kind of like slap together anything and just use an invocation deck, and you're gonna win with him. That's how powerful that deck is. Okay, he's got stun. He's got confuse. That deck is just ridiculous. He's manages resources really well, and he just does everything fantastic. You know, this hero can beat any single villain in this game probably without struggling. He is just straight up broken. A character. So I have two people here that I actually don't use a lot, but that's how, like, game recognized game. Like I know that these two are good. So Captain Marvel, I have notes because I don't use her a lot, but I know what she does. Like, and I know that like she's extremely strong, right? She has like a crazy draw ability, which just like allows her to like keep drawing, right? Enhances her hand size, which allows like super flexible, super impactful like plays. She has a lot of high health. She has healing options, which just allow her to just like maintain pressure, doing damage, thwarting whatever she needs to, And if you're playing in a team game, she allows your teammates to draw. Again, this character is just, again, who you want as a true solo player. Next, we have my personal favorite player in this game, which is Spider-Gwen. This is my favorite hero in this entire game, and if she weren't here, Quicksilver would be A tier, possibly S tier. Spider-Gwen is insane. She has the ability to ready herself whenever the hell she wants, right? Basically, for the most part, she defends, she readies, she attacks, she readies. Okay. She can thwart, she can defend, she does like extremely high damage. She can adapt to basically every single situation, and she has the Ticket to the Multiverse card, which basically lets you just reset your deck and just do it all over again. So, phenomenal hero. I've beaten every single hero in this villain with this game with her. Another OP character we have is Spider-Ham. So, man, this dude gets these tune counters, which are basically just resources for him to use. He can stun the villain. He can confuse the villain. And the counters can be used to just deal additional damage. They can be used as resources, which is just set up just consistent turns of thwarting, of attacking, of confusing, of stunning, whatever the heck you freaking want, right? He has crazy high self-healing, which just make him fantastic in solo play, and he just deals damage and deals a threat whenever the hell he wants. I didn't realize how strong he was until this past year when I started using him again, but he's extremely OP. And not in his Doctor Strange way, in like a very fair way. This next one here, I'm throwing some respect on. Storm. I've used her a handful of times, but I've watched videos and seen what she can do. Her weather deck is just crazy. Again, it's an extra deck like Doctor Strange, but it just allows her to manipulate and control the game to whatever she sees fit. Okay. It allows her to deal with if she needs to thwart, if she needs to stun, if she needs to deal multiple damage to multiple villains and allies, right? It just has so much offensive and defensive benefits. She does damage to multiple enemies at the same time, which I've already said. If you're dealing with minions, it's exactly what you want, right? And again, that weather deck allows her to control with thwart as well. So super versatile as a true solo player. The original, well, you know what? We'll go next to Spider-Woman. I have not been able to use Jessica Drew well in this game, but that doesn't mean I don't recognize how good she is. So you basically make a deck with two different aspects with her, right? Which just allow her to take the best cards from whatever you want, So that one ability right there is truly insane. And basically she gets stronger the more aspects she has in her deck and the more cards you pull, right? She can stun the villain, she can confuse the villain, and she can just shift the role that she needs to during the game whenever she needs to. I have not been able to use her effectively because it's not my playstyle, but damn, do I know what she can do in the right hands. All right, the original king of stunning people, Captain America, right? Man, this dude just stuns like a going out of style. Seriously, like if this guy in a protection, I know I wasn't talking about specific aspects, but when you just start stunning with him, like that villain is done. He just has stun luck like it's going like nothing. Okay, he does really well on defense. He does really well on offense, right? He can ready himself for multiple actions. Okay. He he does well with all aspects. Like I mentioned, protection, but he's a leader, right? So like he can boost his allies really well. He's got really really high stats across the boards. 222. He just does everything phenomenally. He handles basically every single situation. He can handle multiple minions with his shield throw. Fantastic. My original favorite hero in this game, Venom. Now this is he's a really interesting hero because I think he's debatably, the best true solo hero in this game. However, on the opposite, he's probably one of the worst multiplayer heroes in this game. His damage does not scale well in multiplayer games, which I've learned bringing him to my play decks. But man, do I freaking love Venom. What are my notes say about him? I don't really need the notes, but his weapons, like he can start the game with one of his weapons. The second that you get his the bigger gun, it's a wrap, right? Like I forgot, it's been a while since I played him, but like the better gun that he has, the one that allows you to do 3 different things. Once you get that gun, it's over. Like he can handle threat without having to actually thwart. He can attack multiple people without actually having to attack, just using the gun. His stats are super balanced. 122. They get better when you get his handguns out, right? Hang on one second. My daughter is asking for more time on FaceTime. There you go. She can have some FaceTime. What else? He can take a damage to draw a resource, which is not really a big deal because he can heal himself really well with one of his alter ego cards. He's one of the few heroes that I don't even mind swapping the hero form with, because he can confuse whenever the hell he wants. Man, this guy stuns, he confuses, he heals. He's got what the heck was that gun? The stupid gun that he has. That's what I'm calling it, the stupid gun. Yeah, debatably my favorite hero in this game next to Spider-Gwen. They're just both drastically different. And you know what? I'm going a little crazy on this one, and I'm fine with that. It's totally recency bias, and I don't care. It's one of my favorite Marvel characters, period. And that is Magneto. We're going to throw him A tier for now. We're going to see where he lands, but I am totally fine with making this dude A tier right now. And I'll tell you why. I said before that I am super conservative in playing this game. I don't like to go through my deck. I don't like to put myself in any bad situations. And man, I do not mind burning through my deck with Magneto. I welcome it. I welcome that. Okay. He is able to just minions come out. He just negates them. He throws them back, dealing crazy damage and a stun. Right. He does really, really well with managing the threat. And then he can pull off attachments off villains with that as well. Right. He does require a lot of strategy. He is, not an easy hero to use. I definitely don't think I recommend him to newcomers, but for skilled players, you can get a lot of consistent results with him. I've just realized that I'm also missing some heroes from this as well. I am missing actually a handful of heroes. So I probably need to stop this video and continue and get them again. That's pretty crazy. I don't know how I missed that. Okay. So I just realized the mistake I made. That's okay. Let me finish talking about Magneto. Yeah, I love this guy. He is fantastic. He's phenomenal. And he's made me change my mind on just burning through my deck. Okay, yeah, so I am missing some heroes. I just realized that. I don't know how I missed them, but it's okay. I am going to stop the video, and I'm just going to splice these together. So I'll be right back. It'll be a second for you, but probably 10 minutes for me. All right, I'm back. I think I got the missing heroes. I hope. I think these are all the people I'm missing. Okay, so I realized when I had Magneto, I was like, oh my god, where are these other people? All right, so there's Cable, Domino, Bishop, and Magik. I'll try to go through these quick again. I know this has been a very long video already, and I'm really sorry. I promised it wasn't going to be. All right, Cable. I was really hyped for him. I thought he was going to be better than what he actually turned out to be. And I'm going off these with no notes, just based off what I remember playing with him. Okay. I feel good about putting Cable in the B tier. I thought he did things really effectively. There's actually a reason. So basically, I'll say it in a second. Doesn't matter. I thought he handles situations really effectively. I really liked how he has his own player side schemes, and basically he gets very strong when he gets his player side scheme taken care of. He gets really strong when he has his gun out as well. He does everything solid. However, Bishop's better. And that's kind of the reason. So I really thought he was doing a lot better than what he actually turned out to be, but he's still a super solid hero. I'm going to throw Domino in the A tier. I love Domino. And for a similar reason to Cable, she's in the A tier because Magic does what she does better. Domino is another one of those heroes that rewards risk and reward, but she allows you to control a little bit better with being able to see the card, to swap out the card. She rewards complex playstyle and paying attention to what you actually have in your deck, right? So, she's all about randomness, but if you can like count your cards and know what's going on, she really lets you do everything really well. And then when she gets her posse out, she's just insanely strong. However, Domino and Cable basically have similar characters who kind of just do what they do better, right? So I'm actually putting both Bishop and Magic in S tier. That's how much I like these characters. So I went back and forth on them, and I just didn't like. I kept on thinking each one was stronger than the other one. So let's start with Magic, right? So where Domino's main gimmick is like you have to like guess what's on the top of your deck and like pull it if you want. Magic's like the top of your deck is always available to see, right? That is kind of just like almost like you always want to play Cosmo, right? Because you can see what's going on. And she just really like she does everything so freaking well. Her stepping discs, being able to just manage the control and flow of the game. I love using her. I have a pre-made deck with her ready to go. She is one of my favorite heroes in this entire game. And Bishop, this is someone who I was not expecting to like at all. And similarly to Magneto, right? Like one of his main things is like when you are getting attacked and you defend. I'm sorry, when you're getting attacked and when you defend, if you discard cards, he has an ability that like lets you negate damage depending on what you discard. That's not something I would normally do because I don't want to run through my deck. But with him, I'm like, yeah, let's discard everything because his upgrades, like his jacket, his armor, his gun, just do like they negate so much damage. He doesn't need to flip. He can just like absorb the damage. He can send it back with his like he can do up to 8 damage, 10 damage, I believe, with one of his abilities that just absorbs the damage he takes. So he is just another phenomenal hero. And there you go. I feel, yeah, it's a list. Whatever. No one's gonna like it. It's okay, but it's my list, and I'm sticking to it. Damn it. There we go. This is the 2024 Heroes tier list. And I feel all right about this. Like, I mean, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 11 heroes up in, the S tier out of, I think there's like 50 heroes in the game, 51, I think. That seems fine, right? Like, I also have, there's like, the balance seems there. The balance, like this is a solid, you know what? Actually, I like this. I don't hate this. This is a solid bell curve, right? And I wasn't even expecting it to do this, right? Like there's not too many in the S. There's more in the S than the D, but like this is fairly balanced. The C and the A are fairly balanced. And like the B is the middle of the bell curve. I am actually happy with my list. So I hope you like it. I really hope you like it. Be nice in the comments. That's all I ask. All right. Take care, everybody. Peace.